Well, Matt, week one is already in the books for the NFL season, but how excited are we to talk about week two of the NFL season?
Well, I'm just happy that football's back in general. The fact that we actually got a taste of what's to possibly come is always a good sign. And even though the Giants are terrible, we'll see how the rest of the season progresses.
Well, I mean, we got to talk about some of our week two favorite team recaps. Let's start with the Patriots taking on the Raiders here. I mean, the Patriots, for the most part, they showed some flashes in the first half. Offensively, defensively, they were just outplayed in the second half. Defensively, they did some good things, but you know what? Even though the Patriots suffered a surprising loss to the Raiders, there's a good sign of good things to come for Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots.
It's see, the first game is always tough because you're either going to start off on the winning track or the losing track, and no matter how good you perform, if you take that week one loss, at least you can find some positives in that. Like for instance, the Patriots. I'm looking at their numbers right now. They look better offensively this game than they did all season long last year. Now, my thing is, week two they got the Dolphins who were blown out. So maybe this is a chance for the Patriots to start anew. I know it's new culture, new regime, and I know they've gotten blown out by the Dolphins in the past in Miami, but maybe the change in scenery can lead to a change in results.
It's possible because, Tua always plays well against the Dolphins, which we'll get to in a minute, but I feel like that the vibe in New England has changed with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a sense of optimism that we didn't see with Gerard Mayo that I think a lot of people in New England are happy about. Now, listen, losing to the Raiders is not great, especially when you were a heavy favorite to win. But as long as there was a positive trend, which there definitely was, I think I consider that a plus.
Well, and then the Giants, however, they only were held to 6 points to the Washington Commanders, which I knew it was coming, but the Commanders they haven't taken a step backward with that win. But for the Giants, there's a lot of questions at quarterback now.
Yeah, honestly, I had a feeling the preseason was too good to be true. It was a case of Russell Wilson being washed and a case of the offense not spreading themselves out. It was a very clunky, disorganized offensive scheme. And honestly, there's already cries for Jackson Dart to start, but Brian Dable already confirmed that Russell Wilson's starting week two against the Cowboys, which we'll get into that later, but I'm not too optimistic about that.
I think Giants fans are just wanting for Jackson Dart to start because they know that Jackson Dart's the quarterback of the future. But the coaching is kind of in hot water for the New York Giants.
Yeah, no, Brian Dable, like this is probably his last chance to prove that he deserves to stay. And honestly, we should have fired him last year because if you were going to start a new regime, you fire the coach and then get your quarterback that you want. Not keep the same coach who's done you dirty the last 2 years and then get a new QB. Like it doesn't work that way. Like Joe Shane, I thought drafted really well, but Brian Dable's product has been terrible, and I'm shocked we even kept him.
Well, let's talk about some other primetime game recaps here first. You talk about the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the Dallas Cowboys 24-20, but we got to dive into the Jalen Carter spinning incident with Dak Prescott. I thought when I saw that play on the first play of the game, it made me think, dude, that is not cool. That's not how you play football. I mean, like, why did the guy do that in the first place?
I guess it was for a sense of intimidation, but either way, whether you're trying to intimidate or set the tone, it's not a good look to spit on Dak Prescott at all. And Jalen Carter did get a fine for that. He didn't get suspended for a game, which I thought he would, but the Eagles won the game. But I thought, like, getting past Jalen Carter of it all, the Cowboys came in with a surprising punch. Javonte Williams played really well. CeeDee Lamb played good, apart from the drops, which is what hurt them later in the game. The defense was exceptional, I guess. The only problem was, again, the drops late, and the Eagles were able to overcome that.
Well, here's the thing here. I mean, I think that the Cowboys, I thought they were going to get blown out because the
Yeah,
Eagles
we
defense was
both
so
did. We
good.
both did.
But what they showed in that game was that, like you said, Javonte Williams played very well, which I thought he did. He ran all over that Eagles defense for the most part, and then I also think that the Cowboys defense looks a lot better with Matt Eberflus. I mean, Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach. But
Right.
the Cowboys, I thought, competed for that game, but I thought that a lot of people thought Brian Schottenheimer was a one and done favorite, but it looks to me that Jerry Jones is doing what he wants with Brian Schottenheimer.
Well, we know that Brian Schottenheimer is just going to sit and do what he has to do for the boss. That's not something Mike McCarthy ever did. But as far as the Cowboys' tenure under Brian Schottenheimer, they look good. I can only imagine they're going to look better against the Giants in week 2. But listen, the Cowboys competed. Even behind the drama of Micah Parsons, they competed against the defending Super Bowl champions on the road. So that's a positive sign for them. Whether they make the playoffs, I have no idea. I think they'll just fall short on the back of that performance. But we'll see how they look out for the next 16 weeks.
Well, and then you'll also talk about the Kansas City Chiefs ending their win streak in 1-point games to the LA Chargers in Brazil. I mean, we both picked the Chargers to win that game, and I tell you, I think the Chiefs are still the favorite to win the AFC West. But man, Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert pulled off a statement in week 1 against the powerhouse Chiefs.
100% a statement win. And honestly, I'm happy for Justin Herbert to finally get on the winning side of a Chiefs game because he's come so close every single time they played. But in Brazil, Justin Herbert looked great. He ran the ball when he had to. He threw the ball very well. Obviously, Quentin Johnson finally caught passes when he needed to because Quentin Johnson was known for Butterfingers. While Marion Hampton did good for his debut, it was an overall solid performance. And I'm honestly happy for Justin Herbert because a lot of people across the NFL like what this Chargers team brings to the table. And for the Chiefs, I think maybe a foundation's starting to crack. I still think they win the division, but I think it's pretty clear now that they got to look over their shoulder now in that division.
Well, I mean, the Chargers are probably going to challenge them for that. And then the Denver Broncos, who beat the Titans, I think the Denver Broncos are a sleeper.
I mean, listen, the AFC West as a whole got better. And I think the Chiefs know that they're looking behind their back saying, you know what, we have competition. And I think this is where the dynasty of Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce get tested. And I think they're up for the challenge.
I think they are. But another storyline to talk about here is that the Miami Dolphins got blown out by the Indianapolis Colts 33-8. I mean, here's the tale of this game here. The Colts won this game for the late Jim Irsay, who passed away this summer, and the Colts just wanted to come out with a bang over the Miami Dolphins in this victory. But for the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa just was a turnover machine. I mean, the Colts defense held them to 8 points. And this is not the Miami Dolphins offense that I know with how they played. This is not offensively, they looked lost. And you also have a lot to say about the job security of Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier, because a lot of people are saying like Mike McDaniel is an idiot.
Well, he is. He's a big idiot. The thing with the Dolphins is they had a 2-3 year window where they looked like a solid contender for the AFC. Then you have the Tua concussions. Then Mike McDaniel apparently can't coach the team well when Tua is hurt. And just the bad draft picks and just inconsistent play. And honestly, it's just the fact that Buffalo, Kansas City, and Baltimore, and even, those three run the whole show in the AFC. And Miami hasn't really cemented themselves as a threat. They never did. And you get games like this where you get blown out 33-8 by a Colts team that not a lot of people picked to be good this year. And I think that Mike McDaniel's criticism is deserved. I think his time is done if this continues. And I think one thing that I got to say, and this is not Dolphin related, but Daniel Jones played the game of his life. He never played like that with the New York Giants. I'm honestly happy for him, the fact that he found a home in Indianapolis and he played well.
Well, here's something right here that I just found about what's going to define the Dolphins season. Like it said here on this Instagram page that I found, there were rumors that the Dolphins could fire head coach Mike McDaniel and GM Chris Grier if the team isn't competitive over the next 6 to 7 weeks. Like Chris Grier, since taking over as the Dolphins general manager back after the 2015 season, he hasn't really done much. He hasn't gotten a playoff win. I know he drafts very well, but he just hasn't had a playoff win. So basically, Stephen Ross is probably going to want to clean house again.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Dolphins' schedule for the next 6 weeks, like you mentioned. Let me just go over their schedule. They're home against New England. Then they got to travel to Buffalo. Then they're home against the Jets. Then they travel to Carolina. Then they're at home against the Chargers, and then they're at home against Cleveland and Atlanta. Those are their next 6 or 7 games. I honestly think that they can go maybe 3-4 in that. Maybe even 2-5.
But are you saying 2-5 because are you saying 2-5 because of the tough schedule that they got?
Yeah, like realistically, I'm looking at their schedule. They might beat Carolina and they might beat the Browns, but that's it.
Yeah, it looks like it because, but the question is, do you think Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier get fired in season or after the season?
You know what? If their schedule is this tough and the team doesn't play well, I wouldn't be shocked if it's during the season because this team, like I said, they've been given second chance after second chance. I know you've been very soft with them. I know you've been patient with them, but honestly, I think it's time to pull the plug if things don't go well. And if the Dolphins, like I said, if they're 2-6 by week 9, week 8, I think that's it because at that point it's just the same old Dolphins. And I think fans just want to change.
Especially our buddy Frank the Tank would want that because he went on a 2-word rant on the Miami Dolphins after that week 1 loss to the Colts.
Yeah, hey, listen, it was embarrassing. What else do you want him to say?
It was an embarrassing loss. He had the right to go on a tantrum like that.
Right.
And if they lose to New England, which we'll get to in a little bit, then Frank the Tank's temper is Frank the Tank is going to continue to lose his cool.
Right.
On the Dolphins, on the Miami Dolphins to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
But another game we got to talk about here is that Sunday night thriller in Buffalo, where the Buffalo Bills beat the Baltimore Ravens 41-40. John Harbaugh has blown 17-point leads a lot lately. He has the most blown leads as a head coach, which I don't think anybody should be proud of. But I gotta say, the Buffalo Bills just found a way to win when no one thought they would.
It's funny you mentioned that because we watched this game together from the second quarter on, and it was a very competitive, entertaining game. It really was. Buffalo just found a way to hang in there. Derrick Henry looked great at times, but I think what really turned the game around was when he fumbled late in the fourth quarter. I think that was what turned the game on its axis because at that point, Buffalo got that turnover. They got the momentum back on their side. They were able to score at will. They got a couple stops when they needed to. And then Josh Allen just doing Josh Allen things, showing why he's the defending NFL MVP. Puts the Bills in field goal range, drives quickly to get that field goal, got the snap off, and then boom, went through. It was already a classic in week 1.
Yeah, it was already I could agree with that because the Buffalo Bills and the Ravens will play good, but for the Ravens, this is the history that John Harbaugh has. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. John Harbaugh is an elite head coach in this league for a reason.
Yeah.
But you got to stop blowing big leads like that.
You got to clamp down defensively, and you got to be conservative offensively, and actually and be smart with the football. And Lamar Jackson has showed late in games, and John Harbaugh showed late in games that they have their struggles late. And unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills capitalized on that. But like I said, round of applause to both teams. I thought both teams played very well offensively. The defense on both sides could have been a lot better, but the Bills made the big plays when they needed to.
Well, Monday Night Football, where everybody thought Ben Johnson was going to be a bad coach against the Vikings after blowing a big lead like that. But, very impressed with J.J. McCarthy. I knew from the get-go that he was their guy for the future, the way he played. Caleb Williams, like you said, we talked about, he looked better. He looked better under Ben Johnson. And even after the broadcast, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said, this is a sign of things to come for the Chicago Bears.
And you know what? They're right on because, listen, the offense for the Chicago Bears looked so much better, so much cleaner, so much organized than what they had with Matt Eberflus. And I think Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, they're cooking up something. I think that this team's going to be really good or sneaky good this year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they looked better this game than they did all last year. And the J.J. McCarthy of it all, he struggled in the first three quarters. Then the fourth quarter, he came in and just threw 3 touchdown passes and took the game away from the Bears. I think that the Bears, again, let their guard down when they couldn't. They had the momentum and they lost it. J.J. McCarthy shook off the rust. I think it took him 3 quarters to actually play into true form. And here we go. He got the big win on Monday night, and he was named NFC Offensive Player of the Week. So congrats to him.
The thing about J.J. McCarthy is I think this is the quarterback that Kevin O'Connell wanted.
And like I said, I think it took a little while for him to get going, but after 3 quarters, he looked like he was in control of the offense. He looked like he was able to figure things out. And sometimes it's not about how long it takes you, it's about how you bounce back. And I think J.J. McCarthy in that fourth quarter played lights out. And if he can carry that over into future games, I think that's a great sign.
Oh, absolutely, because, the Minnesota Vikings play the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday night. That's a game I'm very intrigued about watching because those are 2 quarterbacks that have played in the national championship game with Washington and Michigan.
That's correct.
And I want to see that matchup because Michael Penix is the future of the Atlanta Falcons, and then J.J. McCarthy is the future of the Minnesota Vikings.
And like you said, it's a rematch between the two from their national championship back in 2024. So it's a very interesting game to put on there on the primetime slot, but I think it could be well-deserved.
Well, now we dive into week 2. I mean, this is the first true Thursday Night Football game that we're going to see tomorrow with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
2 teams that won their week 1 games. The Green Bay Packers, we'll talk about the Packers first. They came off a statement win over the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions look bad at times, but you can't count out the Detroit Lions early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but listen, the Packers made a statement. They were at home. Micah Parsons shined in his debut. And I think it was just all-around feel-good moment for the Packers.
And then for the Commanders, they picked up where they left off from last year.
Pretty much.
Jaden Daniels is too good for a sophomore slump. You said that he was going to have a sophomore slump, but I didn't think he would.
Yeah, listen, I got my Giants hopes up too early, and it cost me. But listen, Jaden Daniels looked good. Obviously, the Commanders could have looked a lot better. It was 21-6, but it could have been a lot worse. I think the Commanders need to get things right, especially now adding Deebo Samuel to the offense. I think that maybe the Commanders might be in for a little bit of a growing pain in this game, but I think it should be competitive overall.
For this game, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers to win this game. I like them at home. They're going to continue to improve their record at home because playing at Lambeau Field isn't a problem for the Green Bay Packers.
Playing at Lambeau Field is probably one of the best home field advantages you can get, especially in December and January. I'm going to take the Packers as well. I like this team at home. The Commanders might put up a fight, but I like the Packers overall.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be like a 3-point advantage for the Green Bay Packers. I think they
Yeah,
win like 27-24, but I anticipate it being a very good football game.
agreed.
Well, we go on to our 10 o'clock, our 1 o'clock games here. Let's talk about first the Miami Dolphins taking on the New England Patriots. I mean, heading into this game, the New England Patriots haven't won a game in Miami since 2019. Tua Tagovailoa continues to be undefeated against the New England Patriots. But that could all change, I think. I think Mike Vrabel gets his first win as Patriots head coach in South Florida. I don't care about the narrative of the Patriots playing in this type of heat in Miami. I say New England and Miami are in an offensive shootout. I think the Patriots come away on the winning end. 38-35 New England.
I think I can go. I think I can get alongside that too. I think the Patriots are going to win too, but probably a little bit more lopsided than that. I got them winning 38-28.
And why is that? Is it because you think the Patriots defense is going to have a game plan to attack Tua Tagovailoa early?
Yeah, I think Mike Vrabel, being the new head coach of the Patriots, he's going to come out with some type of scheme for Tua, especially knowing that they haven't won in a long time, and especially they could probably look at the Colts game and see what he struggles to do.
I could see that because Mike Vrabel is a defensive guy. I think Mike Vrabel can limit Tua's passing ability and try to rush him. I think the Patriots' defensive front looks a lot better than it did last year, than it did in previous seasons. But I think this is probably going to be This is probably going to be a game that's going to be telling if Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer are going to be in hot water.
And bottom line is both these teams need a win because the Patriots want to get things going and the Dolphins need to preserve their coaching staff. So this is a big game for both these teams, but I think New England comes out of it.
Well, the New York Giants go from playing in D.C. to Jerry World in the Cowboys home opener. I mean, although we would want the accident waiting to happen for the Cowboys, but I know you would want that, but that's not going to happen. I just think the Dallas Cowboys are going to come in and blow out the New York Giants. I think that's just going to be a too easy win for the Dallas Cowboys. I think they go 1-1 to start 1-1. I think Brian Schottenheimer gets his first Cowboys win as a head coach.
Honestly, the Cowboys play for a losing effort. They played better than many people anticipated, and I think that they're going to be at home. They're playing the Giants. Recipe for success. Dallas Cowboys all the way.
And Jerry World is going to be packed. A lot of fans are going to want to run into that stadium, knowing that the Dallas Cowboys are going to want to go out on a bang for them.
Yes, exactly.
Next up, the Seattle Seahawks travel to Pittsburgh to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I mean, DK Metcalf against his former team is going to be pretty odd, but the Steelers are 1-0 for a reason. I don't want to see Sam Darnold in a game anymore at quarterback because I don't think he's that good. Because I want to see Jalen Milroe in there, but in this game, I'm picking Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers to go 2-0. I just think the playing in Pittsburgh is tough for any opponent, but the Seahawks are probably going to get exposed by that Steeler defense, Aaron Rodgers, and that high-flying offense that the Steelers have.
Well, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Playing at Heinz Field is always an advantage for them, and I think the Seahawks are just not as good as Pittsburgh is. Aaron Rodgers running the show, I think it's going to be a masterclass for him at the age of 41.
He's trying to defy odds in his final year playing.
Yeah, Tom Brady tried it. He did it, so he's trying to do the same.
And everybody was down on Aaron Rodgers last year, but I think so far people have changed their mind on Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, listen, that first game against the Jets was not an easy one, and he was able to pull it out.
Yeah, that's something you can't count out with Aaron Rodgers doing.
Nope, not at all.
Well, the Tennessee Titans came off a tough loss to the Denver Broncos in Cam Ward's NFL debut, but Cam Ward is going to be in for a test against a Rams team that is still young defensively, but offensively, it's elite. I mean,
Yeah.
the Rams eked out a small victory over the Houston Texans, but I picked the Rams to go 2-0. I think the LA Rams continue their hot start. I just think that the Tennessee Titans are just probably not going to keep up with their intensity and how the Rams play things.
I think you just said it perfectly. I'm going with the Rams because I think that they're just better equipped to win a game like this. Tennessee Titans are just miles away from where they should be. I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams take this one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Stafford, Adams, Nakua, Javonte Williams. This Rams team is a sleeper. I mean,
yes,
people sleep on the Rams every year.
And I think it's because Matthew Stafford's age, but I think Matthew Stafford, like Aaron Rodgers, tries to defy logic. And Stafford, for someone who's 38, 39 years old, is still playing well. But my concern with the Rams is long-term what their solution at quarterback is right now, but I think that's not the main concern at the moment.
Well, an AFC East matchup in the Meadowlands. Like the Jets looked really, really strong in Aaron Glenn's head coaching debut. But this is reality right here for Aaron Glenn, facing the Buffalo Bills at their own stadium. The Buffalo Bills with their MVP quarterback and Josh Allen. This is going to be like, oh boy, this is going to be a disaster for the New York Jets.
The New York, it's literally a tale of two results. The Jets lost in heartbreaking fashion. The Bills won in thrilling fashion. It was two very good games, but both New York teams experienced opposite results. The Bills are in to win it this year. They are going to try everything they can, and if it means plowing through the New York Jets, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Do you think it's a 49 or 56-0 victory for the Buffalo Bills over the New York Jets?
I'll say 42-10.
I'm saying that because the Jets, you got to face reality. The Jets are not going to play good against teams like the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
Because the Jets are still not yet there.
No, they got a long way to go.
Well, now we talk about a game where you talk about number one picks in 2020 and 2021. Both of those guys played in the national championship game in 2020 in New Orleans.
Yep.
And that's where Joe Burrow was born. The Bengals 1-0 to start the year, but you said their offense looked terrible against Cleveland.
And I think this is a case of, again, the Bengals starting off the season slow, which I still don't understand. This team is playing the Browns, and they barely eked it out. But I think they need to make a statement against the Jaguars right here because the Bengals are much better than this, and I think they should have blown out the Browns. And if they don't blow out the Jaguars, then this is just the case of them starting slow the first two games. Again.
I'm going to pick Joe Burrow to beat Trevor Lawrence. I just think that Joe Burrow has Trevor Lawrence's number, but I also think that the Bengals are going to play well offensively, which I expect, but I'm still concerned about their defense.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are not the best defensively, but I will say on the other side of the spectrum, Liam Cohen had a really strong debut with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence looked like he was in his true form, like he was back in Clemson. Granted, it was against the Panthers.
Did you see that video where Sean Khan said, "Here's more to forever" when he gave Liam Cohen that game ball?
Yeah, that was a fun moment. But
because you're right about the Jaguars playing great in week one. I think you're right. Trevor Lawrence looked like his true self, and I think why he looked like his true self is because I think Liam Cohen fixed something in him that didn't work for him last year.
Yeah, Doug Peterson maybe had an offensive scheme that wasn't comfortable for Lawrence. Cohen looked like he had a game plan, and Trevor Lawrence executed to perfection. Now, Burrow and Lawrence, I think this is a tough one. I want to say the Bengals win this one because they're at home, but both defenses are question marks. But I think the Bengals just can execute better than the Jaguars do. So I'm going to ride with Cincinnati.
But Jacksonville, you said Trevor Lawrence looked like his true self. The defense is still a work in progress for the Jags.
Yes, it is.
But I also want to point out Travis Hunter looked really good in his NFL debut.
He did. He did. He looked good on both sides of the ball. I mean, he's going to be a 75-25 split. He's going to play more offense, but this guy is a two-way athlete. I think that's going to bode well for him long term. I hope that he doesn't break down because of this. But so far, Travis Hunter looked really good. I love Brian Thomas Jr. to maybe have a big game in this one.
Brian Thomas Jr. had scored a big touchdown last week against Carolina. We'll talk about the Panthers in a little bit. But the Jaguars, I think this is a stepping stone for them to have a turnaround season this year.
I think they're going to be much better than what they were last year. Again, close call about the playoffs, but I think that they're going to be much better this year.
Well, now we talk about the San Francisco 49ers taking on the New Orleans Saints. There's going to be quarterback question mark if Brock Purdy is going to play in this game, but George Kittle being out for 2 to 4 weeks is trouble for the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the blow you don't want. I think that they're going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening. I think the Saints played really well against the Arizona Cardinals last week, but the Saints, Spencer Rattler, did better than what I thought. But I think the 49ers offense is still too talented to be sluggish against the Saints defense that's still old and wear and tear.
I picked the Niners to win. I think if Brock Purdy, here's the thing. If Brock Purdy doesn't start, Mac Jones is starting. And I think Mac Jones is up for the test.
Well, I think no matter what happens, I think the Niners are going to get this one no matter what. I think that the Saints are going to bite off more than they can chew this year. They've really, really looked good against the Arizona Cardinals, but that might be their peak.
You're right about that. I mean, the Saints are still a work in progress, but they're not going to be good this year. Let's put it that way.
I doubt it.
Well, the Cleveland Browns take on the Baltimore Ravens in the Ravens home opener. I think this is a game that's not worth talking about because I think the Baltimore Ravens put up 63 points over the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco, and I think the Baltimore Ravens give the Browns a beatdown.
Easy win for the Ravens. Not much to discuss here. I think that, and also the Ravens are probably upset and pissed that they lost the Bills the way they did. So I think they're going to take their frustrations out on the Browns.
Absolutely. But Joe Flacco, who's going to start for the Browns, still knows the Ravens schemes and John Harbaugh's schemes. So that might be a little bit of an advantage for Joe Flacco.
It could be an advantage, but the Browns don't have a lot of talent around Flacco. So I think that's going to hurt them.
They're going to get exposed big time.
Yeah, not going to be pretty.
And the Browns are kind of a garbage chute.
Yeah, they're not in a good situation right now.
Well, this is the game. One of the games to talk about here. Two coaches that work together in Detroit, but they coach against each other in Ford Field. Ben Johnson versus Dan Campbell. We kind of talked about who we want to win this game. I mean, Ben Johnson, I thought he did a fine job in his first game as a head coach, but Dan Campbell is still the guy that is building a culture in Detroit, which is still working. I think this is a matchup that I think people are wanting to talk about.
This is the storyline of the week because the Bears looked good with Ben Johnson. They lost, but they still looked good. And then Jared Goff, if you watch the way he looked against the Packers, it was not a good showing for the Lions at all offensively. So but I think Dan Campbell, knowing him, he's fired up about this matchup. I think he's going to want to try and stick it to the Bears and stick it to Ben Johnson. Hey, I don't need you anymore. But I think the main thing is going to be how will Ben Johnson use his offensive schemes against the Lions? Because even though Ben Johnson knows the Lions, Dan Campbell knows Ben Johnson's offensive schemes. So it's going to be it's basically chess versus checkers.
Yeah, in this game, this is tough for me because I want the Bears to win because of how well they played, but I like the Lions at home. I think the Detroit Lions are going to bounce back from that tough loss to the Green Bay Packers that they had last week, and I think Jared Goff plays better.
I want to say the Bears, but I think the Lions barely eke this one out.
I think both teams are going to play. I think this is going to be a competitive football game between the two coaches.
And honestly, it's not going to be flashy offensively. It's going to be a grinded out, toughen it out game between both these teams. You're going to see a little bit of everything, but I think the Lions come out on top.
Well, next up, the Colts came off a great win against the Miami Dolphins and winning the game for Jim Irsay. And talk about a very touchy moment after the game where Shane Steichen presented the game balls to Jim Irsay's daughters after the game. And
yeah, that was nice.
You know how unfortunate that was to lose Mr. Irsay, who done so much for the Indianapolis Colts. But we've talked about repeatedly, Matt, that Jim Irsay grew impatient at times.
Yeah, but honestly, it's not a time to beat up Jim Irsay right now. It's honestly a time to, the Colts did the right thing. They won for their owner, and I think it was a really touching moment what they did to give the ball to his daughters. And, Indianapolis lost a really big soul, a big part of their community, but the Colts looked fantastic last week.
That's what Jim Irsay wanted in week 1, a Colts win.
Yeah, and he got it. And honestly, he's up in heaven right now watching this Colts team. So,
and they opened the roof at Lucas Oil Stadium, knowing that Jim Irsay was going to watch it from heaven.
Yeah, that was a nice moment.
But they're playing the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos came off a narrow victory over the Tennessee Titans. But in this game, I'm picking Bo Nix and Sean Payton to pull this one off in Indy.
Tough call. I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think that the Broncos have a better defensive unit than the Colts do. And I think that even though Daniel Jones had that great game against the Dolphins, I think reality might come crashing down a little bit this week.
I said I picked the Denver Broncos. I picked Bo Nix and Sean Payton to pull this off because Bo Nix had some really good had played pretty good against Tennessee, but the Denver defense is very sneaky good.
Yeah, the Denver defense is good. I think it's going to be a battle of who can make the defensive plays when necessary. I think the Broncos can do that.
It's because Pat Surtain is the leader of that defense.
Yes.
Next up, man, this is teams that both need a win badly. I mean, Bryce Young didn't look too good against the Jags, getting sacked, pick sixes a lot. But Kyler Murray and the Cardinals played very well. But will the Cardinals go 2-0 or will the Panthers get a win? And I'm going to actually pull off a shocker and pick the Carolina Panthers to beat the Arizona Cardinals in a close game.
I'm going to disagree. I think it's the Arizona Cardinals because I think that this team, even though they struggled against the Saints, they still were able to pull it off and they hung in there and they didn't give up. The Panthers are still a work in progress. I think Bryce Young will put up a strong effort.
I picked the Panthers because of my guy Bryce Young. I want
of course. Why? Of course. Yeah.
But you picked the Cardinals to go 2-0 because you like what Kyler Murray's doing right now. You like the continuity in the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, and I also like the way Jonathan Gannon has coached this team.
So is that why you like the Cardinals at home?
Yes.
Well, next up, this is a Super Bowl rematch. Man, this is tough for me to pick. But, the Eagles beat the Chiefs last year in Super Bowl 59.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to go 2-0. I just think my guy Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, the defense of the Eagles with Vic Fangio, they already know how to beat Kansas City. But the Chiefs at home, they might pull out. I won't be shocked if the Chiefs win this game at home, but I'm just picking the Eagles because I just really like their defense, their offense, and their overall team.
Tough call. Honestly, if this was in Lincoln Financial Field, I'd say Eagles easily, but this is tough.
Because it's in Kansas City, and it's tough to play at Arrowhead Stadium.
Correct. I'm going to see the Eagles just barely get by because no Xavier Worthy for a couple weeks. That I think is going to hurt Kansas City a lot. So I'm going to say the Eagles.
Yeah, you and I are both with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Kansas City, I think they can. I won't be shocked if they pulled off this win because you still got Travis Kelce, you still got Hollywood Brown, and you still got Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco.
Like, this game could go either way, but I think Philadelphia is just better on paper.
Well, this is the game I'm looking forward to talking about. It's my guy, J.J. McCarthy from the Michigan Wolverines going up against Michael Penix Jr., who's arguably going to be the best left-handed quarterback in the NFL because, the Falcons had, once upon a time, the Atlanta Falcons had a left-handed quarterback in Michael Vick. But Michael Penix Jr., I think, is the future of the Atlanta Falcons. And in this game, I'm picking my guy, J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings to go 2-0 on the season. And as for the Falcons, man, what a tough loss and what a missed field goal by Young Aku, who I thought was money, but man, it just didn't go his way.
No, it was a chip shot kick too. So obviously devastating blow for the Falcons. I think I'm going to go with you on that one. I'm going to take the Vikings here too. I think that the Vikings woke up in the fourth quarter, and I think that they're more equipped to win this game than Atlanta. Atlanta still has some work to do, but I think if J.J. McCarthy's fourth quarter is any indication, I think that the Vikings can win.
The reason why I said Penix is the future of the Falcons is because I just like his ability to lead this offense. I like the supporting cast around him in this young Atlanta Falcons team. Like, the Falcons can play with anybody.
Yeah, they can. They can compete.
But my only concern is the defense
for
the Falcons because their second, Jesse Bates, is great, but it's about that defensive front that just can't get sacks.
Yeah, they need pressure up front if they're going to stop J.J. McCarthy.
But I don't think they have the guys to put pressure on J.J. McCarthy. But I think the Falcons have the offensive power, which I like. I love offensive football, and that's a game I'm interested in watching is because I like Penix, I like Bijan, I like Drake London, I like Kyle Pitts.
Right.
That's your big four right there for the Atlanta Falcons.
Like I said, it's going to be a battle of offensive football, but I think that the Vikings have a better skill position player. I think Justin Jefferson might cook the Viking secondary, which I think is going to be a big problem.
Are you saying that Justin Jefferson might cook Atlanta secondary?
Yeah, he might.
And I think Raheem Morris is the right coach for the Falcons. I think Raheem Morris, has done a great job.
He has done good. He's done good.
But from Raheem Morris to Todd Bowles, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are visiting C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. Tampa Bay was lucky to win that game. Eventually, their streak of winning the NFC South is probably going to come to an end because Atlanta is probably going to win that division. I kind of like Atlanta to win this division just because you got a future that is planned already for you. But for the Bucs, they're a solid team. They're not elite like Tom Brady was there, but they're very solid. They're coached well by Todd Bowles. Baker Mayfield has resurrected his career in Tampa, but I'm picking C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans to come out with a bang in their home opener.
Tough call. I'll go with the Buccaneers. I think that even though this is a road game for them, they won on the road before. They won in Atlanta. But I just think that no Tank Dell, I think, is going to be a problem for the Houston Texans in order to keep up. And actually, we've seen the Houston Texans go blow for blow with the Buccaneers before. So this should be fun. But I think Buccaneers come out on top.
That's the first game of the Monday Night Football doubleheader. The second game of the Monday Night doubleheader is, man, this is going to be fun. Justin Herbert and the Chargers going up against the Raiders in Vegas. In this game, although Pete Carroll and the Raiders had their fun in Foxborough in week one and getting that lucky win, This is reality time for Pete Carroll and Geno Smith and Ashton Genty. Give me the Chargers in this game.
Bolts all the way. Bolts all the way. I love the fact that the Raiders got that opening day win. It was against your Patriots, but still, it was nice to see Pete Carroll victorious. But I think that's going to be a very brief, happy moment for him. I think it's going to be a Charger blowout.
I was saying that Pete Carroll had his fun, but he won't have too much fun now.
No, I think the positive vibes are going to end here.
Well, next week when we do our show, there's some really good games to talk about here. Like next week, we got to talk about Bills, Dolphins. I still want to watch that game because of my Tua. You know that.
He ain't special.
And then you talk about Sunday Night Football. My God, that's a game that no one's interested in watching. The Chiefs and the Giants. I would only watch that game for the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Well, that's exactly why they put it on. That's exactly why they put it on there.
It's not because the ratings are going to be good.
No, the ratings are going to be good if they get a Taylor Swift appearance. That's it.
This game should have been Broncos-Chargers. I don't want to see the Giants in prime time right now.
No, not a good moment. Not a good time. Timing's horrible.
And then you talk about Aaron Rodgers playing in New England. You also talk about the Lions and Ravens next week. Oh, boy. Since the Justin Tucker made field goal in Dan Campbell's first year where
I remember that.
Dan Gamble cried and Greg Gumbel, the late Greg Gumbel, went bananas with that call.
Yeah, I remember that. I feel like it was just yesterday.
Greg Gumbel was on the call for that, and the late Greg Gumbel was going nuts.
I remember that. And it was a crushing loss for the Lions.
But now we talk a little bit of baseball here. But there was reports that you and I both saw that Kyle Tucker might be wearing Dodger blue. And I kind of dig that report because I really think Michael Conforto has not worked out. He's been of a bust with the Dodgers, hitting like 194.
Yeah, not good.
But I think in this game, the reason why I kind of predict Kyle Tucker to be a Dodgers because I want a star outfield group with Kyle Tucker and right, moving Teoscar to left field because Teoscar Hernandez has had a tough time defensively and right, but although he's starting to pick things up as of late, and then Andy Pages in center, but that's why I'm smelling a Kyle Tucker signee with the Dodgers this winter.
It's possible. I think the Cubs are going to try and do everything they can to keep him and Pete Crow Armstrong together in Chicago. I think it'll be a tough call because usually when a player gets traded and stays with the team for 1 year, they're a free agent automatically, and anyone can do whatever they want. Case in point, Juan Soto last year signed with the Yankees, got traded to the Yankees, stayed there for 1 year, and then went straight to the Mets. It's an interesting development. I know we've been talking about this for a little bit, like even early in the season. It's an interesting development.
Here's the thing here. The reason why I think Kyle Tucker is going to sign with the Dodgers is because the Cubs, they're blocking playing time. They don't want to block playing time for Owen Casey, who is their top slugging prospect that could play right field. And I think the Cubs could use that youth movement heading into next year.
It's possible. Like I said, having a veteran presence is good. The Cubs are going to make the playoffs this year. So I think one thing that you touched on before we even came on was I think no matter what, if the Dodgers end up winning the World Series or if they go for one and done on the wild card, no matter what happens, you think they're still going to pursue?
No, I still think the Dodgers will pursue Kyle Tucker even if they exit early on in the playoffs or win the World Series. It's kind of like when they pursued Blake Snell.
Right, and they what did they do? They lost in the wild card of the divisional round the year before.
Who?
The Dodgers.
Well, in 23 they got eliminated by the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Which was uncalled for, and that's why I have a good feeling about Kyle Tucker being a Dodger, which we're going to dive into the free agent predictions after the season concludes.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting because I feel like this year has been a very good year for Major League Baseball. I think that you're going to see a lot of new faces in new places potentially, and I think the teams that are going to be playoff teams this year might take a step back. I think the teams like the Cubs, who are having an awesome season, they might take a step back with the amount of names that they got to deal with.
They're in a crappy division, so I still think the Cubs are going to probably be in the top 2 in the NL Central next year.
It's possible. It's possible. And hey, listen, Milwaukee, we thought they were going to be garbage after they lost Willie Adames, but look at them.
Yeah, the Brewers are. Everybody sleeps on the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Milwaukee Brewers are just an awesome team.
They are. Yeah.
But the Yankees, however, tell me they basically took 2 out of 3 from the Jays. Am I right?
Correct.
And the Yankees, they're starting to play good baseball as of late, but they had a tough time against AJ Hinch and the Tigers yesterday.
Yeah, that is a game that I think they want to forget because they were up 2-0, and then I forget who it was. I think it was Spencer Torkelson, I believe, who hit a 2-run home run. It was tied 2. And then the 7th inning yesterday, my God, that was a disaster. Fernando Cruz and Mark Lyer Jr. faced 9 batters, didn't get out. The two combined to allow 9 runs to score. It was bad. And the tough part of it was we were 2 games back of the Blue Jays heading into yesterday's game, and then the Blue Jays pulled off against the Astros. So the Blue Jays got a game back. So now we're 3 back, and Boston is still lurking. So it's very, very possible the Blue Jays could still pull this off. But 3-game lead with 19 games to go is not an easy cushion. But the AL East, I didn't think it would be this competitive between 3 teams. I think that overall, if you're the Yankees, you want to avoid the wild card because the last team I want to play in the wild card is Boston.
Here's some other storylines here. Juan Soto joined the 30-30 club. I mean, everybody thought that Juan Soto was a bust in New York. Frank the Tank thought that Juan Soto's a mega bust. But look, Juan Soto finally figured it out.
He did. And you know what? The Mets, even though they're having a hard time against the Phillies, they still have that 6th spot. They're on a couple game edge against the Giants, which I think the Mets still make the playoffs. It's going to be interesting down the stretch, but Juan Soto has played well for what it's worth. He started off very, very slow this year, but he's been very good. Same with Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. The Mets know how to play when their backs are against the wall.
You're absolutely right. They know they absolutely do. But Kyle Schwarber, 50 Schwar bombs. I mean, he and Ohtani are toe to toe for that NL MVP race.
NFL. Hold on a second.
No, that NL. I was referring to NL MVP.
I know. National League MVP is going to be a tough call because Schwarber has been the key force behind this Phillies offense, which has been electric to say the least. And Schwarber, when he drills them, he drills them. It's like insane. And then Ohtani's still doing Ohtani things. I think, if anything, the wild card factor in this could be Pete Crow Armstrong, but he faded away quickly after that hot start.
And then your boy Aaron Judge. Home run number 359 and 5th all-time on the Yankees all-time home run list.
Correct. Honestly,
I think Aaron Judge is going to be the Yankee career home run leader.
Well, the number to beat is 659. That's set by Babe Ruth. So he's 300 home runs behind. That's a lot of home runs. But if he can stay healthy for the next 6 years, which is going to be a hard one, and hit 50 home runs a year, it's possible. But like Judge is someone who started off the season blazing hot, has cooled off a little bit, but I want to see him get hot now. Like, this is the time where he needs to get hot. Because if the Yankees are going to make a postseason run in October, they need everyone to be on top of their A game. Cody Bellinger has been awesome, by the way. Just a little brief note.
Cody Bellinger has been. You're absolutely right. I mean, Cody Bellinger is hitting a lot of these bombs, belly bombs, belly whopper.
Yep.
But the Dodgers now, they're looking to complete the sweep of the Colorado Rockies tonight.
Correct. Yeah.
I think they will. I think the Dodgers are, I think the Dodgers are looking to just, shake off of what has been a very bad road trip. They're getting Tommy Edman back. They're getting guys healthy at the right time. I think the Dodgers, I think they're going to go on a nice win streak here, and they're going to try. And I think that they're going to get that 2 seed with Philly when they play Philly, because I think that series with Philly is telling.
Yeah, I think if anything, that series against Philly is going to determine if they get the 2 seed or not. Now you're right; the Dodgers have had some rough patches. They really have. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but they are getting guys back at the right time when they're supposed to. And if you look at their schedule, they're looking to play spoiler for a couple of teams. Like they got to play the Giants 7 times. They got to play the Seattle at the end of their last series of the year. And if they get that 2 spot, that's probably going to be the much needed boost that they need to get their guys back for the division series, which they absolutely need. All I'm going to say is if they get the 2 seed, the last team they want to run into is Philly, because Philly is good.
Yeah, you don't want to play Philly in the division series. That's if I were the Dodgers. I mean, I think that the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers will end up getting the 2 seed, which I'm pretty confident about. I think the starting pitching is going to carry them. I think the bullpen did last year, but I think the Dodgers. I still think they win the World Series because I think they got a lot of a lot of their starting pitchers that are healthy enough for a run.
Now, if you want my honest opinion as to who's going to win the World Series, I honestly could say several teams. I could say the Brewers finally overcome their demons. I could say the Blue Jays. But one team that really stands out to me is the Detroit Tigers. I think this is the team that a lot of people are sleeping on. I think a lot of people don't understand that A.J. Hinch's chemistry with this team, this young group of teammates, is so well balanced. I think Gleyber Torres is having a resurgent year, which I'm happy for Gleyber. I've said this before time and time again. I'm happy for him. But the Tigers are just good all around, and I think Tarek Skubal is going to have an awesome postseason. It's just going to be it's going to be tough because the American League has a lot of good teams. But if the Tigers came out of the American League, I wouldn't be surprised if they win the World Series.
Well, I mean, I hope it's not by cheating because A.J. Hinch was
that's right.
Stealing.
That's right.
But anyways, that's going to do it here, Matt. Let's do a post-show call to talk about what time we're going to do the show next week.
Sounds good. Take care, everybody.